You're listening to the Gutsy Podcast, where we talk about all things real, raw, and ridiculous about running a business authentically. I'm Laura Wallace, also known as the Laura Aura, lover of all things inspirational, owner of Works Graphic Design, and your host on this journey through entrepreneurship. I'm here to help you get out of your head and back into action as a passionate business rock star. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday as we fuel your gutsy. Social media is one of the most powerful tools that we have as business owners, yet it often feels like a full-time freaking job. Posting meaningful content that speaks to your audience sounds like a great idea, but how the heck do you stay ahead of it? How do you go from a reactive, oh shit, I haven't posted in 2 weeks, to a proactive, well-planned calendar that doesn't run your life? Look, guys, I brought in the best of the best to tell you how. Today, I have Kat Gaskin, an amazing human, content planning expert and creator of the Content Planner, which is the first and only physical planning system for your blog and social content. Kat helps discouraged business owners create a clear path towards achieving their social media goals so you can be more abundant in your wealth, prosperity, and purpose. She's got a 6-figure e-commerce brand and recently had a $100,000 launch. So Kat brings some pretty amazing results-driven expertise, all while maintaining her cool, natural, calm, and collected approach. Kat, welcome to the Gutsy Podcast.
Hey, Laura. Thank you so much for having me. And hello to everyone listening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So quick backstory. A fellow creative firm owner introduced me to the Content Planner about a year ago. We had this mastermind lunch group, and we were exchanging tools that we use. And she's like, "Oh, I have this really cool thing called the Content Planner," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, send me the link," as we typically do. And I started following you, Kat, and reading your emails, and I'm like, oh shit, this thing looks like it's going to actually work. So I ordered your planner for our social gal here at Works, and she was started using it, and then I was reading the emails, and then I ended up in Palm Springs with you.
I know, it was fate.
It was absolute fate. So you hosted this amazing workshop in Palm Springs, which we can talk a little bit more about later, because I want to make sure that people know how to stay in touch with you. But I feel like that's where I met my sister from another mister, and
yes,
here we are today.
Yeah, 1,000%. We're the same person.
Yes. So give me a little bit of your story. Tell me a little bit about where you came from, what you've been doing. Just introduce us to who you are.
Yes. My name is Kat Gaskin. I am the founder and creator of the Content Planner. I was not always an e-commerce business owner. I actually have zero experience in marketing. I have no formal education in business, photography, or anything that I'm getting paid to do right now, for the record. I started out as a graphic designer. So by trade, that's what I do. I'm all about Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. That's what I went to school for in university. And right when I graduated, I got my dream job working full time. Like, that's what I wanted to do when I graduated, because if you're listening to this right now and you went to school, you're basically taught that the next logical step is to get a job in the quote unquote real world. So I became a communications associate for an organization called the College of Physiotherapists. I know nothing about physiotherapy. That was but that was the dream. That was the goal, to get paid $40,000 a year, to commute into the city, to wear work clothes like an adult, and get 3 weeks of paid vacation. Like, at that time, I thought getting paid for 3 weeks of vacation a year was like the ultimate dream.
It was winning.
You were winning. You were set. You were like living your best life. And I worked there for about 2.5 years, and it drained me both physically and mentally because I was so bored. I'm a creator. I'm a graphic designer. I'm meant to have full creative control, especially being the person that I am. And I remember my aha moment where it just switched for me. And I was calculating how much I could work freelance to make the same amount of money that I was currently making at my job. And while I was working full time, I was also doing small freelance projects here and there. So I had already had the systems in place. And that's when I decided to make the decision that I would quit my job eventually. So from that time, it took a year and a half. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen 3 months later. I planned and saved for a year and a half until I fully dove into full-time freelance life. And once that day came, that was in October 2012. That's when I first started freelancing under my company called Salty Pineapple, which is my personal brand. So I started leveraging Instagram. I became insanely obsessed with posting on Instagram, using hashtags, tagging different people, trying to grow my account because I started from zero like everyone else. And I started to grow because I was staying consistent with my content. I was designing all of these different photos and putting together flat lays. I realized that Instagram was powerful. Like, I lived in a small town outside of Toronto where it looked nothing like a tropical beach dreamland. But with my Instagram, I was able to create that sort of world with my photos and my captions. So that's where my love of Instagram came. I started working for brands, creating content for them, and I knew that I had a knack for marketing on Instagram and using social media to build a community. Then I realized that I was right back at square one. I was at the mercy of my clients all the time. They could access me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when I had initially quit my job, I told myself, why would I want to work for someone else when I can just do my own thing? But now I was back to where I started. So I actually made another decision then to make a complete 180 and get into a product-based business. And I didn't know what that product was at the time. I just knew that I didn't want to be service-based anymore because shooting for other brands and designing for other clients, it was really exhausting. And when they have changes and they want you to reshoot entire campaigns, like, it just gets really tiring. And I wanted a business that could make me money while I was sleeping. Because when you're in service based, you cannot make money unless you're working, unless you have some sort of product. So that's where I was when I first started the content planner. And one day I remember I was researching online for a planner to plan out my Instagram posts. Because for me, I'm very traditional, analog, like pen to paper kind of girl. I love stickers. I've been using a daily planner every day for the past 20 years. And so I wanted an actual planner for my content, something that wasn't an agenda, something that wasn't a daily calendar, but something that was very specific to my content. And I couldn't find anything. So I designed one because I'm a graphic designer and I knew exactly what I wanted. Mind you, I had zero experience in e-commerce. I didn't even know what Shopify was. And I didn't know if I could sell on Instagram either, because at that point I had only been building my community. Like, I wasn't selling any products and it wasn't an account that was based around buying and money. It was more about inspiration and creativity. So that's when I first started the content planner, which was back in 2016. Fast forward to today, it is now a 6-figure business. And I run the entire company by myself from the comfort of my laptop.
Amazing. I mean, just freaking amazing. I think one of the most important pieces out of what you just explained is that you you didn't have the prior experience in what you're doing now, but you had the hunger and the ambition, and you learned and you leaned into it. And now, just a few short years later, now you have a 6-figure business doing the very thing that what traditionally people might say you have to have this for, you need to do that, you need to do this, but you just do it. You literally
Yeah,
just do it.
you literally just do it and you learn as you go. I think there's this preconceived notion, and I mean, it's the school system. I'm from Canada, so it's very traditional. It's like elementary school, high school, post-secondary, get a full-time job, retire at freedom 55. And my parents are baby boomers, so they also instilled that within me. And no one in my family is an entrepreneur. Both my parents worked full time for huge corporations for like 40 years, and they retired with a pension. And they were so a part of that Freedom 55 culture. And I saw that concept and I was like, fuck that. I'm not going to wait until I'm 55 when my body is, you know, kind of on, not that it's on its last leg, but you're not as youthful physically compared to when you're like 22, or
Absolutely.
25. So that's what really scared me when it came to just looking big picture at my life. And I was like, you know what? I can just figure this out as I go. This space was also very different. So now everyone has everything at their fingertips. There's online courses, YouTube. Shopify wasn't even a thing when I first quit my job in 2012. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, it's really hard, or I don't know where to start, like the internet is your best friend. If I can do it without the support of all the communities that there are now, like you have such an upper hand today versus starting a business like 10 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are literally self-made millionaires based off of learning online and from other people. I mean, it literally just boils down to, are you willing to put in the time and are you hungry enough to learn it?
Yeah, agreed.
So I'm really interested in something you said too about you went from like an inspiration creativity feed and brand to now a powerful like sales and marketing. So what was that transition like? Like what did you have to shift in either your content or your imagery or the combination of the two?
Yeah, that's such a great question because a lot of people think that, oh, you had Salty Pineapple, which had 40,000 followers. So she probably just posted about it and they all funneled to the content planner. But that is not the case at all. And even today, when I talk about the content planner on my personal account, I mean, now I have 56,000 followers. The traction is not there. Like maybe two people will click on it, maybe one person will swipe up. So for the record, it's not as easy as just posting on a bigger account and funneling people over to your other account. And how I started is I started with very specific hashtags, and I knew that the content planner had a very different audience. And in my head, a lot of people do this when they start their business. They figure out who their avatar is and they really dial in on who their customer is. Because the content planner is for fellow businesswomen like me, I knew exactly who that woman was. Like, I gave her a name. I know her personal interests. I know what brand she likes to shop. Like, I literally made my customer a person and I personified who that was. So that was the foundation of all of my hashtags, all of my captions, what my photos look like. And I geared all of that towards her. Whereas with Salty Pineapple and Kat Gaskin, that content was just for me. It was like my creative soul would just be poured out onto people's screens. Whereas with the content planner, the content is very, very strategic. Like it has a purpose. And every time I show up and I hit that share button, I know that the piece of content that people are going to see is going to inspire some sort of action. And I think that's what a lot of people forget in their business is they're just posting fluff. Like, let's be honest. I'm so over all these accounts just sharing content that doesn't do anything. Like there's people looking at your posts and reading your captions. It's like, tell them what to do in your business. So with the content planner, I'm always reminding people like, buy the content planner, download our free PDFs, sign up for the free 7-day planner challenge. And that was the major difference with my personal account versus the content planner.
That makes a lot of sense. I think sometimes we forget that we know what we want people to do inside and out because, well, it's our business. But other people may be showing up for the first, second, or third time. And I mean, they just don't know. we
Yeah, they
we
just don't know.
we live and breathe it every single day, but we take that for granted. And there's a lot of missed opportunity in just literally giving people the breadcrumbs to lead them to where you want them to go.
Yeah, because people are overwhelmed. We have to remember
Yes.
that. We are
Yes, they are.
so overwhelmed with technology, scrolling through things, the constant notifications, that if you make it easy for people to buy your product or opt in or give you their money, they're going to do it, period. Because everyone else is just making it so complicated at the end of the day. I have a planner. This is what it does. Here's a photo of it. Here's how to use it. Now here's how to buy it. Like that's been the formula since day one.
Amazing. And clearly it's working.
Yeah,
So
I get about, I would say from the start, I generate about 70 to 80% of my sales just through organic Instagram posts. And I
wow.
only just started getting into Facebook ads. And even still, like, I don't rely on them solely for purchases. They're just another way to get eyes on my brand. And it's all about your consistent daily posts. And that's what I want people to remember too, is that Instagram is very powerful to build a community, but it is becoming this crazy selling tool.
So I love that you pointed out that the majority of your sales are organic through Instagram. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in, having to spend, buku bucks, or people just, expect that, oh, well, to get this response, I have to spend this amount of money and I have to do all these things. But really, you're winning through using a free tool just by showing up and being intentional.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, wouldn't you want to make money every time you share something on Instagram or share a YouTube video or a Facebook post or do a live? Like, I'm not just on social media for fun. I'm there to make money.
I'm curious on your mindset, because I think that sometimes people view social media as like another distraction or another thing, or it's just like another thing, where I feel like when I talk to you, Instagram is not just another tool. It is an essential portion of your business, and you're looking at it as a business tool.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm asking you, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's not just like this fluffery thing. I don't know. You're showing up, and you're showing up very intentionally, and you're looking at Instagram not as a distraction, but as a way to build sales.
Yeah. And like you said, it's a mindset shift because Instagram, social media, and the internet in general, it can be a very passive tool and it can be a major distraction. And it can just be this thing that you consume all the time that you're just constantly looking at and scrolling through. And it's a time waster. Like it just wastes so much of your time. However, you have to switch your mindset and think to yourself, I have full control over what people do on my Instagram account. So, what do I want to tell them to do? Because if I tell people to buy my planner, they're going to buy my planner. If I tell them to subscribe to my email list, there's going to be people who subscribe to my email list. It's not going to be every single person who reads that caption or sees that story, but they will trickle in every single day. And there's all obviously ways to set up automations after they do that one single action from Instagram. But you're right, it's a complete mindset shift. And I don't know about you, but I want to live my life more offline than online. So just telling myself not to be too distracted by Instagram and consuming, like there's that whole cliche quote of create over consume, and it's true. Like there's lots of truth behind that, because you can either be a creator on Instagram or you can be a consumer, and I would much rather be a creator.
I love that. You can be a creator or a consumer. I'm writing that down right now.
Yes. Quote me though. Quote me if you ever
Oh,
hear that.
girl, it's all you. That's all yours. I love that you talk about, there is a natural distraction. So being the creator or the consumer really ties into that. So I think one of the biggest distractions, besides getting caught up in, what everyone else is doing, but it's the distraction of having so many different platforms and being able to juggle and nail it on all of them. So where do you even begin with juggling multiple social media platforms and really owning those?
Yeah. I'm so glad you asked, Laura. What a great question. Well, first of all, I think the whole notion of, oh, I need to be on every single social platform because there are different audiences on this platform. We need to forget that because, again, you're going to overwhelm yourself and you're going to be spreading yourself way too thin. So my first plan of action when it comes to where do you post, what do you post, and how often is to just pick two primary platforms, whether that's Facebook and Instagram, or maybe it's Pinterest and your blog. But there are tons of different ways to market your content online. And if you can just pick two, that's what I always suggest. And the first one is your primary platform. So for me, that's Instagram. And that's where you're going to spend 80% of your time and efforts and work building up your community, creating content, engaging with your followers there. And then your secondary platform, which for me is my email list, you're going to be spending about 20% of your time. So the 80-20 split has worked really well for me because I know that, okay, I only have to post on Instagram because I know that plays to my strengths. And I know that in the past, it's been successful in converting customers. So for my business, and this is going to be different for everyone, but I know that for my business in particular, that Instagram works really well. So I'm going to devote all of my attention to there. And then my email list will support me. For example, if Instagram breaks or if I get blocked or if my account gets deleted one day, I have my email list there to support me. So if you're struggling with juggling all of these different social platforms, you have to start deleting them and focusing on your primary and then your secondary. So after you do that, then you would take your two content marketing platforms and start to plan out content for them using the content planner. That's what it's there for. It's a physical planner where you can write down either every day or every other day or whatever your schedule is according to what you're posting, and writing down, okay, today I'm going to post a giveaway on Instagram, and then tomorrow I'm going to send out an email to remind everyone to enter my giveaway. So having some sort of system that you can write down and organize, plan out your posts, that's going to be crucial in the success of being on multiple social platforms.
Mm. It's we go with that, like if I don't spread myself across all of them, then I'm going to miss people.
Yeah.
And I love that you're reinforcing, like, let's focus on two and nail them, and they support one another. And I think one of the other key pieces here is, that Instagram works not only because of the intentional posting that you are doing, but it's where your target audience is. Like,
Yeah.
your customer, and that's where they are. So I think that's really important, to know where your customers are and meet them there. Don't try and force them to do something that doesn't come natural to them.
Yeah, exactly. And something else to add as well is if you're spreading yourself across like 8 different social platforms, you're actually hurting your brand more than helping it if you're not showing up in the best way that you can. So let's say I have a LinkedIn, I have a Facebook, I have a Pinterest, I have an online blog, and I have a YouTube channel. And someone goes on my YouTube channel and checks my brand out, and it shows that I uploaded a video 8 months ago, you know,
Mm.
and that piece of content is outdated. It's not on brand anymore. Maybe it doesn't feature my new products. It's actually hurting your brand more to have an outdated, crappy video than to just not be on the platform at all. So that's what I want people to remember too, is just because you're there doesn't mean it's actually helping.
That's a true story. This actually kind of reminds me. And so, if you guys have been following along, you know that we have recently nixed a handful of social media accounts for the Gutsy podcast, which may sound counterintuitive because, well, here we are on the podcast. So Kat was actually the driving force. We had this like come to Jesus moment in Palm Springs by
The
the pool.
heavens just opened.
It really did. It was like, ah. But maybe we can talk a little bit about that, because basically the challenge that we were having is we have multiple portions of our brand. We have our primary brand, but then we had 2 sub brands, and we had social platforms for everything. And it was really, really challenging to keep up to date with, putting valuable content on all of these things all the time. It just became like this workhorse. So where I kind of came to this fork in the road of, growing my Laura Aura, my personal brand, but I also had all the Gutsy podcast as a brand. So I came to Kat and I was like, I don't know what to do. It's too much.
I know. And I remember that conversation, because even just asking you, okay, what's your business? And then hearing you explain it to me, I was confused. So I knew that your customers would probably be confused, and that your listeners were probably confused, and that you were struggling. And I was like, you know what? This is what you need to do. You just need to simplify and delete.
Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you quoted, just, you have to cut off the dead arm.
Yeah.
Like, cut off the dead arm. So, and it was scary as shit, right? Because we did, when we're a branding and marketing studio, we did what we thought we were supposed to do, open up all these accounts. And at the time, it served us well. But I think it's important to know that as your business grows and evolves, being intentional sometimes means doing less things. And so being open to pivoting and knowing when you have to nix a few things so that you can put better quality into the things that you are doing really well.
Yeah, I completely agree. And cutting off the dead arm is not going to be easy. And a lot of people think that it is. Like, it's just a matter of pressing a button and like hitting delete, but that's not what it is. And it is going to be scary. It is going to be very uncomfortable. In the end, though, you'll feel a lot freer. Like, I'm assuming that's how you feel now.
Oh,
right?
Well, yeah. So we closed down the Facebook page for the Gutsy podcast, and we left the Gutsy podcast page for Instagram alive and well, but we redirected everything over to my Laura Aura channels. So there's a hero image, which, if you guys are not familiar with that, that's a large image that goes across the top. Basically, it's 3 squares that fills the top row of the Instagram feed, and just says, hey, we've moved, and all of the tags and everything shifts over to my page. So there's years worth of stuff that was on that page. So we left it, but we're now on the other side of it. It was scary. It really was, because I'm like, oh my God, nobody's ever going to listen to the podcast ever again. I looked at the number.
Has that happened?
No, actually, I looked at the numbers last week, and it was one of the record high weeks. So it's going to be okay. I think we get caught up in our head and just assume the worst, where it's really not that serious. Like, honestly, it's not as serious sometimes as we make it in our head. But now, to post our episodes, it's totally fine. Like, I know where to put it. I was running into the issue of, I want to talk about mindset and entrepreneurship and all these things, but do I put it on this channel or do I put it on that channel? And, then I get overwhelmed, and then you don't do it at all. And, I'm sharing this because I want people to know that you may be in a similar situation, but making the decision to nix the unnecessary things gives you so much of your power back. It really does.
Yeah, that, like, great work. Like, good on you for actually doing it too. Because a lot of people want to do something, and they want to feel a certain way, and they want to see the results. But as much as you're planning, you also need to be doing.
Absolutely. And when you're leaning on advice from people that know more than you do in particular areas, I think that there's just a level of respect that if you go to somebody for their advice, like, you should or get off the pot. You either do it or don't, but don't go back to them and be like, oh my God, it's not working. Yeah. Well, the first thing they're going to ask you is, did you do it?
Did you do it? Yeah. And you wouldn't believe how many people I've told what to do and given them a lot of clarity. And after the first month or the first 2 months, they just don't do it. So, there's a lot of people out there who don't take action. Please, whoever's listening, don't be one of those people.
We're not those people here on the Gutsy podcast. No,
we're not those kind of people.
So this is a beautiful transition into let's tell these people how to do this. I mean, I just think that you're a powerhouse and you're nailing it. So first, tell me just a little bit more about what the content planner is. Like physically, like just kind of tell me about the actual planner itself.
Yeah, so the content planner, it's a physical planner. It is not an online app. It is not a digital template. It is the first and only planner where you can write down your content, and it is specifically designed for your content planning. It's a 15-month fillable calendar. It includes monthly goal setting. It has holiday calendars for all of the holidays, as well as social media marketing dates. It has inspiration for your monthly themes. So if you're a blogger, most likely you should have a monthly theme for your content. For example, in December, maybe your theme is like gift guides or holiday shopping or mindful gift giving, something like that, to really be the foundation for your content. And it also helps you stay consistent and focused. So I put everything that I learned from being a graphic designer and now an e-commerce business owner, social media strategist, and a content creator. I put everything that I learned into this planner. It also has a section to write out what hashtags you want to use for the month. It has a section for writing down who you want to collaborate with, which is what I have called your hit list, which is a list of your dream clients, accounts that you want to get reposted by. Maybe it's potential other bloggers you want to do a giveaway with. Your hit list is your list of people that you want to get your product or service in front of their communities. And it's also how I grew Kat Gaskin to where it is today, and it's how I grew the content planner. It also comes with a ton of social media stickers for Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, so that you can plan out your day-to-day content. And it's simply a matter of taking a sticker, putting it on the exact date that you want to post, and then writing down what you're going to post on that day. So that's essentially the content planner in a nutshell. It's a place where you can write down and simply have a place for your content plan that is free from distractions. You don't need a Wi-Fi connection, and it makes content planning fun, because when you're planning digitally and online, you don't necessarily have that satisfaction of crossing out your goals or putting pen to paper or being able to flip pages. That's what I love about it the most.
Yeah, I love that, it's spiral bound. It's beautifully designed. It's got this really fabulous hardcover and you can literally like fold it in half and just like so I had it on my lap last night on the couch and
Mhm.
I'm just writing and I'm turning it all different directions and there's just something about disconnecting and I know what we're planning is to go back into the digital world, but there aren't any distractions here. It's just you and your mind and your pens and your ideas. And I think that that's really liberating.
Yeah, I mean, I love the content planner. I've been using it every day since I started the business. And I might be a little bit biased, but when I tell you it is the number one most essential tool for my business, especially being an online business, like I don't know what I would do without this now. I don't even know how I would survive having an online business without some sort of content plan and a place to write it down.
I think that there's a natural transition and I've even experienced this as well, but there's a natural transition between I don't plan at all and now I have this tool that is giving me the know-how to plan, but there's a transition with your mind. So I'm curious where that mindset shift or what does it take to go from I don't plan anything at all to oh no, the next month and a half is planned.
Yeah. And I I want to clarify too that that journey going from I know shit all about content planning to I'm a content planning master, that's going to take some time for people, because I know with my community and even with my customers, they're expecting that as soon as they receive their planner, that they're going to be this master planner, so consistent. They're going to know exactly what to write down. They're going to stick to their plans so meticulously. Like, no, throw that out the window. That's not how it works. So how it happens and how I see it unfolding is someone starts with the intention that they want to get more organized and they want to be more consistent with how they show up online and more strategic, like purpose, big capital letters, purpose. Like, how are you showing up? Are you showing up with some sort of intention, with a reason, or are you just doing it for the sake of doing it? Like, there's a difference between posting something that has a strategy and then just posting something because you want to say that you did it, and you'll see it in the results. Like, maybe you'll get more clicks or more sales or more subscribers, but when you post without an intention, like, nothing usually happens. It really fizzles out quickly. So it all starts with having that first thought of, okay, I want to be more consistent. Like, I want to start doing things with my content and I want to start inspiring action. And then usually that leads to, okay, now what sort of system do I need? Like, how do I even do this? And that's where the content planner is able to support you throughout, whether it's 1 month or 6 months or the full 15 months. And that's why the planner is fillable, is that it offers a sense of flexibility and it takes off that pressure. Because when you buy a dated planner, you're like, oh shit, I got to start it. It's January 1. I don't want to miss out on any days. I don't want to leave any pages blank. Like, I know that pressure. It's planner guilt. And the content planner, it doesn't give you that because it's fillable. Like, you would know you have it. And if you don't want to plan out the next 6 months of your life, that's totally fine. You can just do 1 month. And the content planner is there. It's there for you. It's meant to support you throughout your content planning. And then once you purchase it, you also get access to a ton of free resources and training, because I don't want my customers to feel like it's been a one night stand and they bought my product and it's like, okay, bye, see you, never again. I want people to feel like they've just started this new relationship with their planner and with me, and I'm going to be there every step of the way, holding their hand and teaching them for completely free how to use the planner and also how to maximize all of the features so that they succeed. So that's how I usually see it happening. Is it's not that they're looking for a planner, it's that they're looking to be more consistent, and they start using the planner. And then I teach them through Instagram and my website how to use it. And it's just this back and forth of, okay, now what do I do? And then they have more questions. And it's pretty much a journey. Like, I've been pretty much in a relationship with some of my best customers longer than I have been with people I have in my life, because when someone buys something, like, it creates a spark. And I'm sure you know this too. It's not just a transaction. It's a
Right.
relationship. It's a connection.
That's one of the things that I admire about your brand is you're always there. Like, you make it you are accessible to your customers, and you're always providing training and courses and how-tos and tips, and you're really empowering people to use your product. And I think that there's a lot to learn from you in that regard. i have to
Okay.
I have to joke because you said content guilt, and
Yeah, planner
that's
guilt.
planner guilt. That is a real friggin' thing. Okay, so there is, I know I'm not the only person on the planet that feels like this. There's this initial, like, okay, all right, I opened it and I'm going to write in it. But you don't want to
Yeah.
write in it because you don't want to ruin it. And then it ends up sitting there because you're like, I'm afraid to screw it up. The very first spread, when I was like, all right, I'm doing this, I literally fucked up the entire spread. I put the wrong date on the wrong days and and I was like, I gotta burn it. Like, I can't
Yeah.
use this anymore.
Just throw the whole thing out.
But I think it's important to know, like, it's that's one of the beautiful things about this is it is messy and it is complicated, but it's beautiful, and you're creating something. And you know what? If you use the wrong color pen for the wrong color post, you know what? The sun is gonna freaking come up tomorrow.
Yeah. And I don't know who is going around telling us that we have to be perfect and pretty and neat and beautiful all the time. When I find them, I'm going to kill them,
Yeah.
because it's so apparent with my customers too. that is probably one of the top 3 biggest struggles and roadblocks for my community, is that they're so afraid to make a mistake. And I want people to understand that mistakes are natural. Like, I scratch out in my planner all the time. I misspell things. I write something that doesn't look as pretty as I wanted it to. But I'm able to push past that because I know that done is better than perfect, you know? And it's progress over pretty. I say that all the time. It's like, make progress, stop wanting it to be pretty, because it's not. It's going to look really ugly. Like, your plans are going to be really messy. The way that you think and the way that your ideas are going to find themselves drawn out on paper, like, it's not going to look like a perfect Excel spreadsheet. It's just not.
It's really not. And if it does, something's lying.
Oh yeah, you're lying to yourself.
Something is lying. Yeah,
you are lying to yourself.
Your
planner is perfect.
Yeah, and there is no like planner police, by the way. I think sometimes we get this fear like somebody's going to see it and then it's all going to be wrong.
Like you made a mistake, ma'am. You're going to jail.
You used the red pen for the Instagram post instead of the blue, and ma'am, we were going to have to take you in.
We're going to have to redo your rights.
So I want to get into the meat and potatoes, which is content planning itself. I would love to hear some of your best tips and tricks on how to really just take ownership of your content planning and feel like you are being proactive and actually moving the needle versus just getting online and putting up words.
Yeah. So the first place that I always like to start with content planning is to figure out what kinds of content that your community wants to see. Because let's say, for example, your community wants to see photos of cats and you just keep on posting photos of dogs all the time. Like, there's a clear disconnect there. And a lot of people do this because they're just posting content that they think they want to see. But you actually have to shift your mind and think about the kinds of content that your community wants to see. So it's not necessarily about you all the time. It's about what your community wants to see, what your followers want to see, and what's going to be appropriate for that specific platform. So, for example, on Instagram, like, graphics and imagery do really well, and video, like short video clips. Whereas on a podcast, like, it's more audio. And then on YouTube, it's straight video, but vlogs do really well, and how-tos. So first and foremost, you have to get to know your community and find out what they like and find out what they want to see. And how I do this is really easy. I just go on stories and I ask my community what they're struggling with in terms of content planning. So for you, content planning would be whatever your expertise is. Just replace that word with your expertise. So if you're wanting to teach people how to bake a cake, you would post on Instagram stories and say, hey, everyone, I would love to help you out with all of your cake baking. Let me know what you struggle with when it comes to baking, and put a question sticker, and you'll realize that you'll get all of these answers that are gold. It's literally a gold mine of free information, because all people want to do is talk about their problems all the time. They just want to complain. They want to talk about what they're struggling with, and they want help. And your job is to simply figure out what sort of service or product you can provide in order to solve people's problems at the end of the day. That's all it is. So one, figure out what your community wants to see and what they're struggling with using Instagram stories. You can obviously use any other platform that you use, but for me, stories and Instagram are the best. And then the next step is to record all of those struggles down on a Google Doc. And then I essentially turn all of their struggles into content. For example, I know my community struggles with consistency and sticking to their content plan. So I know that my next post is going to talk about all the ways to stay consistent with your content planning. And I know that's guaranteed to resonate with people because they've told me that they struggle with that exact topic. Next, you need to take all of those struggles that you've converted into content and then map that out into a content plan, whether that's sending out emails, posting on Instagram, uploading YouTubes. Maybe you're going to be doing like a whole blog series on it and then writing that down. So putting it down on paper, maybe you're going to be using the content planner, maybe you're using some other planner, I don't know. But writing it down, because digital templates and calendars, yes, they're great because you can like drag and drop things and they're very non-committal. So if you type something out, you can just delete it. But I find having the content planner and like having something written down, because it's technically set in stone, it means you have to do it. And sometimes that scares people, and other times that empowers people because then they know that is their set plan. So, step one, find out where your community wants to see. Step two, turn those answers into captions and content and themes for what you're going to post. And three, use a system that you can write down, like on a piece of paper, to map out how you're going to be sharing that kind of content.
Amazing. You just make it sound so easy.
That was like literally content marketing 101 in an answer.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. And I think sometimes, like you said, people are just hungry for answers to problems. So this is a problem for a lot of people. Like one of the top things is like, I don't even know where to begin. So if I'm already feeling overwhelmed before I start, the chances of me starting are going to be slim to none. So I love that this is just very bite-sized. Anyone can do this. Like you guys can literally do this for your brand today.
Yeah. And how much does it cost? Honestly,
your time.
$0.
Your time. I don't even care if you go to the internet and print out a Google Calendar and chicken scratch on it on your lap. Like just start writing things down. It's such a powerful tool.
Yeah, but again, it's so easy for people to make excuses these days, and I'm done with it. Like, stop making excuses, stop being lazy. There's so much free information out there that's of high value. Like, even this podcast right now, you're probably going to listen to it and you made notes, but what are the odds that you're actually going to do something after you listen to this, And I hope I can encourage people to take action and inspire them, because I didn't know 3 years ago when I started the content planner that it would be such a successful business. I knew that the product I designed was something that I needed, but when I had 0 followers and 0 sales, I didn't know what was going to happen. But the one thing that I did know is that if I have a clear plan and I follow said plan, and I'm consistent over time, I will eventually be successful and get to where I want to be. So that's what I want people to understand, is that I am no different than anyone listening today. Like me and Laura, we're no different. We're just all working towards the same thing. But the difference between someone who's successful and who's not successful, the successful person is taking action on their plans. And the person who's not successful is like scrolling through Instagram and watching people pick their nose in a video,
Yep. I love it. I would love for you to share your hashtag strategy in a nutshell, because one of the things you mentioned and how you grew your audience was by having a hashtag strategy. So where do you even start with that? What does that look like to you?
Yes. For the record, hashtags, and you can quote me on this, hashtags are the most underutilized feature of Instagram. They're so overlooked by everyone that it's crazy to me. Hashtags are how I started growing the content planner. And if you want the full video, I have it in my free 7-day planner challenge, which I can tell you the link afterwards. But in a nutshell, this is my hashtag strategy. I write out a few keywords, usually like 3 to 4 keywords that are related to my business. And these keywords should be not necessarily what you offer, but what your community, what your customers and potential clients are thinking about. And that's where a lot of people fall short. They're like, okay, I write down my keywords and then I look them up, but it's just giving me the same people in my industry. And I'm like, no, you have to think about your community, going back to like knowing your avatar and really defining who that person is, and thinking about, okay, if they're on Instagram or they're on a specific platform, what are they looking for and how can I like sneak my product or service in there? So for the content planner, I know my keywords are content, social media, and planner. So those are my keywords. And then from there, you take your keywords, punch them into Instagram in the search box, and it will either come up with related hashtags or accounts that you can use for your hashtag group. And you can also search hashtags. So if you type in like a popular hashtag that you already know is where your community is, Instagram will give you related hashtags to that. So that's another way that I find hashtags to use for my specific posts. And then another way that I find hashtags is I find people who are within my community and people who my followers are also following. So digital marketers, people with online courses who teach people about social media, like content creators. And I just look at their hashtag groups and I'll go in and I'll pick and choose different hashtags according to my brand and seeing if they're a fit or not. There's way more intricacies to like finding hashtags, but in a nutshell, that's what I do is I write down my keywords. I go on Instagram, I look up my keywords, and then I see which ones Instagram suggests to me. And then I kind of validate whether the hashtag fits or not based on does the feed, like when I search for a hashtag, does the feed and results look like my brand? Are the posts up to date? So if you click on the most recent post, is it from the last 30 minutes or an hour? And then I also look at the size of the hashtag. And I always suggest using hashtags that are between, I would say like 40,000 to about 400,000 or 500,000, because you don't want to go too big or else your posts will get pushed down and they actually won't get pinned to the hashtag so other people can find it. And you don't want them to be too small so that no one's going to see your content. And I know that this can be very, like if you're just getting into hashtags, maybe you don't understand what I just said. So that's why I have a full video on it in my free planner challenge.
Fantastic. And we'll make sure in the show notes to have the link to that challenge because I want to make sure that you guys have all the available resources at your fingertips. I'm curious, what are some of your like must-have tools that you use alongside with your content planner? Like are there digital scheduling things that you use, or what in conjunction with your physical planner, what are you using to execute your content?
Yeah, so I also use Preview app, which is a beautiful Instagram feed planning app. And I know the founders personally, they're great people. They're based in Australia. And they designed an app where you can just load in your posts from your Instagram that you've already shared and then add in potential photos that you've already created. And you can arrange your feed according to what it's going to look like. So if your strength isn't being able to visualize things in your feed and you want it to match or you don't want like things to stack on top of each other, whatever. Preview app is what I use for seeing what something is going to look like without having to post it. And they also have like a hashtag finder inside of the app as well. So you can type in your keywords there and it'll suggest a ton of different hashtags for you that the founders actually hand select. There's editing features in there so you can edit your photos. You can add captions inside of the app and then it will automatically post to Instagram for you. So Preview app is something that I use all the time for just planning out my feed and being able to schedule things ahead of time if I need to. In terms of other planners, I also use Passion Planner to write out my daily tasks. And a lot of people also ask about the pens that I use. So I think I should like walk you through that. My favorite pens are the Papermate Inkjoy gel pens, the 0.7 millimeters. This is also in the planner challenge as well, but this is the most popular question I get. I love my favorite highlighters are from Zebra, the Zebra mild liners. And then for as like a marker, like a fine tip marker, I love this Stabilo Pen 68 set. But in terms of content, I just use the content planner and then I type all my captions out in Google Docs. I copy and paste it to Instagram. And that's pretty much it. Like it's very simple and streamlined. I don't use a lot of online apps. I really, really like writing things down and just getting my content from my planner to my phone. I just use Google Docs.
I love that reminder that it can just be simple because
Yeah.
we as humans, we just naturally tend to overcomplicate things. And we think that we have to have like all these different systems and platforms and this and that and the other thing. And it's like, well, if we just strip it back down to why we came here in the first place, like you're literally writing it in your planner, putting it in a Google Doc, and then scheduling it in preview.
Yeah.
Done. Like
Yeah.
it really can be that simple. I think if we get back to the roots of the simplicity of it, that is where the empowerment of doing more of it comes from, because we get so up in our heads and so overwhelmed by this thing that we have made very large. And then again, we just don't do it because it's too overwhelming.
Yeah. And that's why you have to cut off the dead arm because all of that fluff that you're focusing on is taking up time that you could be spending on other things. Like, I don't have a business so I can work more, you know? I have a business so that eventually it's this investment in myself that I can pull away from because as entrepreneurs, as business owners, our lifestyle is very taxing, like it's very demanding. But for me, I'm trying to start the conversation around this is how I'm organized, this is how I'm planning, so that I have more time to do the things that I love, which is not related to business, you know?
Yeah. And it ties all back into your tagline, which is planet, post it, profit. I
Yeah.
mean, we're just keeping it simple. And at the end of the day, we don't start businesses because we're bored.
No, we don't
There's
start businesses to lose money, that's for sure.
no. And this is a really intentional way to turn that ship around. One of my last questions for you is I'm curious, what are some of the biggest transformations that you have witnessed in people when you see that they start to plan their content?
Oh, there's so many. And I think that's what is one of the best things about me having this product now is I have an outlet. Like I have this thing that I've created. People welcome along their journey towards success. And I get DMs all the time and emails from businesswomen saying, Kat, I feel so confident in how I'm showing up online. Or they'll tell me, I used to not know what to post on Instagram, but now because I have this planner, I'm able to come up with ideas and implement them immediately. Or it's simply a matter of I planned my content last month for the first time, and it was my biggest sales month. And I had the most clients sign up, or I had the most engagement, or the most likes, or the most comments. Like, it's proven that once you write something down, you will stay more accountable to it. And naturally, that's going to make you want to take action. Just like when you get in your car and you go and drive somewhere, like you have a map, you have a road map, you have a structure and a set amount of steps and turns and stops that you have to make in order to get to your destination. So when you don't have that map, you're probably going to get lost and you're probably going to have to stop at the gas station and ask someone where to go. And it's going to be a lot of winding and going backwards instead of just having a roadmap to get you from point A to B in the fastest, most efficient way possible. And that's what the content planner is.
Beautiful. Just perfection. I'm curious, Kat, we're all about living the gutsy life here. So I'm curious, what does gutsy mean to you?
Oh, gutsy means a lot of things. For me, gutsy has two meanings. It means being in tune with your gut, which is your intuition. So doing things and living your life, operating your business from a place that feels good within your gut. And to me, that's being gutsy, as well as taking risks in your business and in life. And remembering that you only get one life to live. Some people go around thinking and living and doing like they get 10 lives to live. But the other day in my planner, I actually wrote down, because the question was, what motivates you? And I said, knowing that I could die today, like that reality that life is not guaranteed, nothing is guaranteed. You could wake up and die tomorrow, but we have the opportunity to live each day. Like you wake up and you're breathing and you're living, that you have to take risks, because what else do you have to lose other than the time and the opportunity? So for me, there's two meanings. It's one, like following your gut, following your intuition, and moving forward with things that feel really good to you, and also living life without hesitation.
Amazing. Absolutely
Yeah.
incredible. Well, I know that everyone is probably very hungry to get their eyes on this planner and start planning content, because I know that when I'm around you, I feel like I have to open this thing up. So how do we stay in touch with you? How can our listeners connect with you?
Yes. So go on the website right now, get your content planner. It is at www.thecontentplanner.com. As of today, I mean, we pre-recorded this, so the powder blue planner will most likely be sold out once this goes live, because there's only a few left at the warehouse. But there's still plenty of Sunshine Yellow 2020 planners left. There's also a link to the planner challenge, which I talked about, for the hashtags and my favorite pens on our website. And then follow me on Instagram at the Content Planner. I share tips and resources, how-tos. I go live on Instagram, and I basically walk you through how to use the Content Planner and teach you how I'm using it for my business. So at the Content Planner, and thecontentplanner.com is the best way to get a hold of me and get your content planner.
Fantastic. Kat, I have to thank you so much. You're such a beacon of light and such amazing energy. And I don't know, you're just one of the most intelligent yet down to earth women that I've ever interacted with. So it's a true honor to share this space with you. And thanks for sharing your awesomeness with our listeners, because they're here because they're hungry, and so are you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Laura. And I feel like fate brought us together.
It
In Palm
absolutely did.
I'm so happy that you decided to attend. And also, if you're listening, if you want to attend one of the workshops that Laura was talking about, you can go to our website or go to workshop.thecontentplanner.com. I have a ton of new cities and dates for 2020 planned, because I like meeting people in person. Like that's where the real juice and energy and vibe happens, is taking everything offline, or from online to offline.
Absolutely. I mean, it's literally shifting. Like, I literally got on a plane and flew to the other side of the country just because I was hungry for that change. And Kat's workshops and retreats are just exactly what you would expect from hearing what you are hearing today from her. They're beautiful and they're elite, but they're also down to earth and very comfortable. And you leave with the knowledge that you need to do. And now it's your turn to do. She can't do that for you. So amazing stuff. Highly recommend it. Well, Kat, I could talk to you all day long, but thank you so much for being on the Gutsy podcast. And I can't wait to connect with you next.
Great. Thanks, Laura. And thanks everyone for listening.
Join me this Thursday as we take our power back by focusing on doing the next right thing when life is coming at you fast. For a look into previous episodes or for more gutsy insight on life and biz, follow me on Facebook and Instagram at that Laura Ora. And until then, stay gutsy.